can be a great people, Kal-El. They wish to be. They only lack the light to show the way.
Hey everybody, welcome to the video and welcome to the channel. Thank you guys for joining me. First of all, we are going to look at some what sold a little bit later in the video. I was going to say today, but it'll be just in a little bit. But what we like to do here is just, bring up some topics and stuff that I've been hearing from around online, shopping online, e-commerce stuff. The economy sometimes does play an effect on that. And today, what I want to talk about, what I've been hearing, this camera looks, I don't know why it always looks awkward to me, or it always looks like one side's higher than the other. Interesting. But what a lot of people are discussing right now is talking about the end of the summer slowdown. Now, around here, I don't really ever experience that. I've never even heard of a summer slowdown. You've heard me mention about me not hearing about certain things until I start watching, more YouTube about reselling and stuff. But the summer slowdown, I've never heard of this. As far as I'm aware, I don't know. For me and what we do here, it's not really a thing. I mean, sales still are remaining consistent. We are making more sales this year than last year, which is good. And this summer is, no different than previous summers, And I think the main reason, and probably why a lot of people discuss this summer slowdown, is because a lot of people online are clothing sellers, whether they are clothing like shirts, pants, whatever, their shoes and stuff like that. That are also in that clothing category. Hats are in there as well too, and those kind of items are definitely seasonal. There are times when people buy more clothes than others. There are times people buy winter clothes, summer clothes, spring clothes. So if you're primarily like a pant seller, a jean seller, I know there's a lot of jean sellers out there. During the summer, people aren't really wearing jeans. They're wearing more outdoor. Well, in the summer for the United States, that is. It depends where you are in the world as well, too, because it could be a totally different climate in another part of the world. More people are wearing shorts and everything, so less people are looking for jeans. So if you are selling pants or jeans, that definitely will, have a slowdown during the summer. And I think a lot of these people that are clothing resellers, and that's a lot. There's a lot of them on YouTube, experience this. There are some who just do so much volume that they really just don't, experience slowdown at all, because there's a lot of volume that they're going through. You definitely have to follow the seasons when it does come to clothing. You will have to follow the seasons. You can take a cue from a lot of, clothing stores like Macy's, all the other, Target and stuff like that sell clothing. You'll see, like, when their clothing goes on clearance, it's usual, their clothing goes on clearance. I would say, like for the summertime, I was starting to see summer clothing come out in February. So that's really the model that you should be following if you are primarily a clothing reseller and you're not doing just a massive amount of volume. When it comes to clothing, I pretty much stick to, because I do sell clothing, I pretty much stick to items that sell year round. Usually, hoodies or sweaters do sell year round for me. Any sports like jerseys and stuff like that, I do look out for those. I don't really concentrate heavily on it, but I will keep my eye out. If I see something, I'm going to pick it up. If I'm at the flea market, stuff like that. Hats tend to do well most of the time. Sports hats usually are some of the best that will sell year round. And then t-shirts, I'm always on the lookout for cool, unique t-shirts. I do pick those up, and those tend to do sell a year round. And I pretty much leave everything else to the side. I really don't do pants at all. I mean, sometimes I will find, a pair of pants or here or there. Not something I really focus in on or concentrate on. In my main channel, you will see me occasionally pick up pants and stuff from the flea market if it's a good brand and if I'm going to get a good deal on it in a bundle deal. That is usually how it goes to the flea market. So if you are a clothing reseller, let me know down in the comments down below what you guys think. Was there a summer slowdown for you? Was there, not a summer slowdown, but the business as usual? But that's primarily where I think a lot of this summer slowdown comes from. Is from whose items follow the seasons. So during the wintertime, people are, spending a lot more on clothing because it's wintertime in the United States. Again, remember, I'm primarily referencing the United States. So if you are outside the United States, this may not apply to you, or maybe apply to just different times of the year. Wintertime, come end of the year, we're talking October, November, December, is when people start to cool down around here. And, that's when people are buying more and more clothing, whether or not to layer that clothing, or, they're spending more on long sleeves or shirts to wear under long sleeves, or jackets, and then pants. Pants definitely start going up, at the end of the year, especially around school season as well, too. Back to school is a big deal. People start buying for back to school. People are looking for those cool, unique items. Sometimes, I've sold a lot of cool, older, vintage binders as of late. The last one I just sold was a vintage Nike one from the 90s. I did sell that recently, and I did put in the title Back to School, and that's out the door. Planners are going out the door. Teacher planners. I do find teacher planners from time to time. You don't want to spend too much, usually about $1 or $2 at the most, but those are selling pretty quickly. Make sure to look for the ones that are that don't have an actual date on it. They're kind of ones that you can actually write into them, so customizable. Those are great to look out for right now. So definitely back to school stuff starts to usher in towards the end of the year, where we definitely see a lot more sales pick up towards the end of the year due to holiday shopping and all that. But as far as Summer Slowdown, I've never heard about it until I was watching YouTube. I don't know, maybe the items I would sell just all year round. I sold a lot of sports cards and sports memorabilia and toys, over a decade. I've been doing this for well over 20 years, and most of it was concentrated in those categories, and those continuously sell or sold all the time. Sometimes prices will go up, sometimes prices will go down, but they're constantly selling. Maybe that's why I've never experienced any of this that people are talking about, but there's a lot of stuff out there on YouTube that people talk about, that sellers who are who have been doing this for a long time, and maybe who have not been on social media, these things, these terms, these things that happen, like Summer Slowdown, what's the other one that a lot of people, I was trying to remember what the other one that I hear a lot of on social media. Sell-through rate. I hear a lot about sell-through rate and all this other stuff, and it's not until we get on these, until I get on to YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, I hear about these terms, and I know a lot of other people, a lot of other resellers I've talked to who aren't necessarily into social media that much, or that don't really pay attention to reselling social media. There too, that we don't ever hear any of these. We never really follow these rules. We just know what sells, and we buy it and we sell it online. So, I'm relatively new to the social media world when it comes from a reselling, perspective. No, when it comes from a reselling standpoint. I'm trying to find the right words. So, just trying to share with you guys what I know, what I've been doing for quite some time, and trying to help you guys find items that can resell online, and that you can make money on online, that you can find at Goodwill, flea market. In my main channel, Gem Flipper, you will see, and I have a link down below, you will see that I go to a lot of Goodwills, and I go to a lot of, not a lot of flea markets, I go to one flea market, because that flea market is such a great flea market. And I find enough inventory. It's just where I'm at. Those are the best areas for me to focus on to find inventory. I could do garage sales, but I'd be driving around all over the city looking for garage sales. Yes, I will find better deals at garage sales. However, how much time did I invest in searching for those items and driving around the town, driving around the city, looking for all these things? And in my city, the garage sales are there are good garage sales from time to time. But when it comes to garage sales, it's probably about 1 in 10, maybe 1 in 15, depending on where you live, that actually will have items that are worth finding and reselling. So pretty rare, especially estate sales in my area. They're just way too overpriced, even on those, as they discount items, just too overpriced, and not really an area that we target that is worth our effort or our time. So that's why you see on my main channel Goodwills and flea markets, because that is what works for us. And we don't have to drive around anywhere. We just go to one location and boom, we can find enough inventory. Usually a list for that day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. Flea market, I can walk out with carts fulls of items. I can go to 2 or 3 Goodwills and have enough inventory for a week to resell. So, and then the other thing to think about when you are watching videos of people picking up items, especially garage sales, you don't see that they've driven to 10, 12. They may have gone a whole week in garage sales and not found a single thing, or maybe find 1 or 2 things. So you have to definitely take that into consideration. Also, too, my videos, I'm only filming maybe once a day, and I'm hitting 3 or 4 Goodwills in one day. The flea market, yes, I do go to the flea market usually right now about twice a week. So, even though you're seeing all this stuff I'm picking up, there's still a lot more that goes involved. There's still a lot more trips to Goodwills that I'm not showing you guys, that I'm going to. I'm picking up items. When I'm making videos, I'm trying to make them as, I'm trying to think about the entertainment factor as well, too, when it comes to the video. And if I'm just picking up items, just shoveling items into my cart, that's not necessarily, I want to be able to explain things and be able to elaborate on what I'm picking up, what I'm focusing on, who I'm buying from, and all that as well too. So just some things to think about, about the social media world. If you are watching this, to learn from, to learn how to resell, learn how to find items out there, or to collect items as well too, because I also collect items. Just things to think about, take into consideration when you are watching these videos. Don't try to measure up to what you see on the videos, because it's not usually necessarily the 100% the reality of it. You're just getting little snippets, sneak peeks into people's worlds and what they're doing when it comes to reselling. All right. Okay, I'm going to go get something to drink really quick, and then we'll do what's sold. Okay, and we're back. We're going to do some what solds now. We've got 6 what solds. And I hope these are cool, unique items that will help you guys in your journey to reselling, if that's why you're here. But I'm pretty sure that's one of the reasons why I'm moving these what solds off my main channel over here. Just so these are more focused on reselling. The other ones, I'm just trying to, make them more, a little more entertaining and stuff. Not really, talking about the nuts and bolts of reselling. Just trying to find items is basically what it is. And here we're going to talk about the nuts and bolts. We'll look at the items and what's sold, and maybe some insight into those if I think it's necessary. Okay. Excuse me. Sorry. Okay. Some coffee went down the wrong throat there. So. Okay. First off here, hats. Now, a lot of hats really just aren't worth it. A lot of sports hats really just aren't worth it. They're around, most will sell for, on average, when it comes to sports, new era, around $10 or so on average. Some of them do better. You just have to know what to buy, keep a lookout for them. And these World Baseball Classic hats do incredibly well, especially ones that are not USA. So other countries do incredibly well. Not very, very easy to find locally, at least here where I'm at. But I have found several Korean ones. Definitely be on the lookout for them. $26.91. It wasn't in the best of conditions, but it was a larger size, which does help. 7 5/8 size I wear. It's a little bit of a larger size hat. And generally, anywhere, you don't really want, 7.0 is kind of small-ish. 7 1/4, 7 3/4 does really well. 7 1/2 does really well. 7.0 just isn't the best hat size. I try to always get adjustable hats. Those do a lot better, I think. In my opinion, again, this is based on my experience. Adjustable hats tend to do a lot better, even though that these fitted hats tend to be more the pro models. At least for the new era, it's the 5950, if I remember the model correctly, is more like the pro model. So this was a great hat though, sold. World Baseball Classic, definitely look out for it. The other one to look out for is the Japan All-Star hats. They'll have a patch on the side usually, Japan All-Star. look out for those. Those will sell for up to 100, sometimes more. Even in bad condition, they'll still sell really well and still sell above average. I sold a really just tore up Montreal Expos with the original logo, Japan All-Star game, and that sold. And it was, I mean, this was beat. It sold for $85. They will sell for more, and in other teams as well too. So something to look out for. And the next item, the next item. That's what I want to say. We have some jewelry. Now, I talked about in a previous video about vintage jewelry, how it being very difficult. It's not very easy. Jewelry isn't easy in general. If you stick to some of the name brand, designer brands, they can do really well. I have sold Coach jewelry, which does really well. Doesn't do well used. And one of the main problems is people are trying to get, because it says Coach on it, they're going to try to get a lot of money for it. But if you can find it brand new at a decent price, I have sold Coach jewelry before. And here we are, just a good, this isn't anything like fine jewelry. It's not, gold or sterling silver or anything like that. This is just fashion jewelry. And we're talking about fashion. Generally, it's not real, but it's well made. Monet is definitely a great name to look out for. It does resell really well. Usually marked, if it's not on a card or anything like that. The jewelry is usually marked Monet. Look up those names. It makes it easier if it has a name attached to it to be able to look it up. Definitely it is a name to be on the lookout for. You don't want to pay too much. $20.32. If this was used, I'd probably expect to get around $10 for it. It doesn't go for, if you watch some of these videos out there on jewelry and people, that actively look for fashion jewelry, I don't really know if they're getting the prices they're saying, but Monet doesn't really sell for that much. And people will be like, oh, Monet, get Monet. It sells for, $50, $60. It doesn't really go for that much in reality. Maybe because they're following, I don't know. I really don't know their numbers or anything like that. And but from what I know and based on my experience, brand new Monet jewelry is going to go between $20 to $30. Obviously, depending on what it is, necklaces seem to do a lot better. Earrings do a lot better. Rings are okay. You got the sizing issues going on there as well. But for the most part, if it's brand new, it's going to go between $20 to $30. Used, more lower around the $15 or mark. So definitely be aware of that. Okay, the next item here is a Whitney and Davis purse. Now, these are pretty easy to spot because they have this like metal mesh, but there's a lot of copies. You got to look on the inside. I sell these ones all the time. Not necessarily this style, but the brand. I sell all the time. And again, this is another one where if you're listening to people online, they're going to tell you, oh, it goes for $40, $50, $60. So I've heard people say like, oh, this will sell for $100. They don't. They don't sell for that much. Again, I don't see their numbers. Maybe it's because of a following. I don't know. But these generally will sell for $20 to $30 on average. I have sold ones for a lot more than that, but they're more unique, a little more harder to find, rarer models. But for the most part, most of these little square ones, mesh, will sell for between $20 to $30. Sometimes a little bit less, just depending upon the condition and all that. This one was in great condition. Probably a little bit more of a newer model, but or a little bit more newer as far as when it was made. But just a great piece. They are really nice. They are really well made. You can get to the point eventually where when you pick them up, you'll know, okay, this is a Whitney and Davis, as opposed to just the generic one from Amazon. So really cool. Okay, the next item here, and this is a sleeper item, and I talk about this all the time in my other videos, my other channel, is silverware. Silverware isn't the most exciting, and it's not one that I really necessarily like, but I know it goes for good money. And one thing I do look out for silverware because we're always losing silverware. I don't know where the silverware goes. Forks and spoons always just seem to be disappearing. And so sometimes I would like to look out for them. And they're pretty expensive. If you go out to get a good pair, even at TJ Maxx, you're going to spend somewhere around $40, $50 on a silverware set. A good one. I don't like the cheap little, $5 flimsy metal ones, you know, they just, you know, they're just not good. I want to get a good set that's going to last a while. So definitely be on the lookout for silverware. And usually the best thing about silverware is you can get them in giant bundles for not that much money. These are J.A. Hinkle's, which is a premium name to look out for. Their knives are actually, they don't really do that well, even though they do make great quality knives. They just make, I think there's just so much of it out there that unless you get it really cheap, it's not going to do very well. However, the silverware does incredibly well. This is my last set. I got a huge bundle full of just J.A. Hinkle forks, salad and dinner forks. Salad forks tend to be smaller, and dinner forks are obviously larger. So, and I was selling these off in bundles of 8, you know, 4 dinner, 4 salad forks. And this is my last set that went out. $26.25 is what it sold for, and we made some great profit on this silverware. You really got to look out for the big names out there. J.A. Hinkle's is definitely one. For Tesla is one I've recently found, and Oneida. I find Oneida all the time. Not Oneida is necessarily, you know, the best, but it is a good name to look out for. And if you can get it in a large quantity for not that much, the most I think I've spent on big bundles of silverware, I think around $10 at Goodwill. Flea market, it goes for even less. So if you can find giant bundles, steak knives also do incredibly well if you can find them brand new. Knives to me tend to be pretty stained. I don't know why, but there's usually a lot of staining on dinner knives or steak knives. I have sold a lot of brand new, you know, steak knives that do incredibly well. So definitely be on the lookout for silverware. It does well, and you can list a lot of it. You know, you get a big old bundle. You can start. You break it up into either sets, smaller sets, large sets. You can sell individual pieces. And that's what I do. Usually, I try to find and put together a large, you know, set of forks, knives, spoons, and then from there, if I have any extras, I'll sell like 2 spoons or 2 forks or 4, you know, at a time, and I can make a lot of listings that way. Okay, the next item is something that you're definitely gonna have to be looking up. Because there are a lot of these out there, and these are the electronic toys for animals. I remember growing up in the 80s and 90s; these things were everywhere at the mall. We went to one of our local malls that we would visit a lot was Eastridge Mall, and these were all over the place. And there's so many of them out there. You really got to look up the brand on these because it's going to be very tough to determine which ones are valuable. And this is actually a good brand to look out for, Roly Poly, and it's tested and works. Luckily, the batteries were not in there. You got to be careful. The batteries will just destroy the product if they've been left in there. They'll just get puffy and blow up inside. And yes, you can clean them, and yes, for the most part, they will be okay, but you got to think of the time. You got to think of the time and the effort that goes into it. And luckily, there were no batteries in this thing, and the moment I popped batteries in, it worked. Sometimes, like the electronics on the inside or the sounds that it makes may not, you know, work properly. Depending upon the item, that may deter from it. It may not. But you really have to look these ones up just to be sure if they're worth it. Again, if you're paying like $1 or $2, then it's probably worth it. This one here, $34.91 is what it's sold for. Plus, you gotta look at the subject matter too. You know, what type of animal it is. You know, what kind of animals do really well. Cats do incredibly well. You'll see me pick up a lot of cat things because cats do incredibly well. Not so much dogs. I don't know why, but dogs really don't do as good as cats. So, definitely be on the lookout. Okay, next item are a pair of shoes, and you'll necessarily see me pick up a lot of shoes. I don't really like to do shoes, but I will pick them up from time to time if it's going to be worth it. And Kizik's is a brand that you should be on the lookout for. They're not doing as well as they used to, but they still demand a little bit more of a premium than other shoes. But Kizik's do really well, and they generally have like this little slip-on ability, like the heel part will be a little bit more reinforced, so you can slip them on and the heel will pop back up. So they're really made for comfort, walking, work, wear, all that. And I found these at Goodwill, and I picked them up. I knew the brand. I picked them up, and they resold fairly quickly. So I also have a pair of kids Kizik's as well, too. I didn't know they made kid shoes, but maybe I should have known that. Maybe I shouldn't have known that. But I did find a pair of kids shoes as well, too, which I picked up because they were brand new. Typically, when it comes to shoes, you know, adult shoes, you know, even if they're used, and they're a good, decent brand, Nikes, Adidas, all that, they will still resell. When it comes to kid shoes, they gotta really be a good model, a good, you know, good brand and a good model to resell really well. But Kizik's is a name to look out for. They do incredibly well. They resell really well. They just have this cool, unique, minimalistic type of design that I think appeals to, you know, people nowadays, or the younger crowd, I guess. But those are some cool what solds. Let me know what you guys think of those. And my thoughts on those. Let me know what you guys think about the summer slowdown. Please hit the thumbs up to like the video. Subscribe down below if you want to continue to see this content. I have my other channel linked down below as well too, Gem Flipper, if you want to see where I pick these items up and how I pick these items up. Hit the bell notification to get notified when these videos drop. And have I missed anything? Subscribe, bell notification, like it, and comment down below. I think I already said that. But see you in the next video.